Do the Mets have the deepest team in baseball?
They scored 10 runs tonight, and they had a guy on the bench who didn't get an at-bat, who's got a real legit shot at the Hall of Fame in JD Martinez. It just shows you how deep this team is, how deep this lineup is, how Carlos Mendoza can mix and match and play left on right, right on left.
Tyrone Tayor, Luis Angel Acuna, who just got here, Luis Torrens, Jesse Winker, and Jose Iglesias. Since June 1st, when the Mets really started to turn things around and went on that tear where they now have the best record since that point, those guys I named are hitting a combined 288.
Tyrone Tayor, since September 11th, he's got a 6-game hitting streak, and entering today, he's hitting .375 with an OPS of 1.172. Went 2 for 4 with an RBI tonight, and as you said, that great leaping catch out in right center field. Just a really versatile, athletic, exciting player.
Jose Iglesias, something I want to bring up about him. He has the 4th best mark among players with 230 plate appearances. In September, he's got a .340 average, a .763 OPS, and in 50 plate appearances, only 6 times as he struck out. And this is something we brought up a lot on this podcast. It's very hard to strike Jose Iglesias out.
Mets fans, we need you guys to fill this place up. This place needs to be rocking on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We need your help. We need everybody to get out here. We need this place full. This is playoff baseball. This is what you guys want. Let's go. Let's go, Mets.
Thanks, Brandon Nimmo. What a series. Mets sweep the Nationals. The last time the Mets swept the Nationals, they went off to be the best team in baseball for the rest of the season up to this point. Brandon Nimmo gets the crowd fired up. I felt like it was the only way to start this episode. There's so much to talk about, dude. And like, we wrote a whole agenda, and there's still so many things because I sat down and then I look over there and I see the Grimace seat, and I remember so much stuff has happened in the last few days, dude.
It has been a wild.
Also, that's not John. That's Hunter.
Hey.
Hunter's back. John was not here today. John had a little bit of a stomach flu, and he was not in. So just give John the best wishes. I know he's been having a rough day. Just, everything's coming out of everywhere.
What's up, guys? Let's go, Mets. What a series sweep, as you said. I mean, do you want to start with the Grimace seat? Where do you want to start?
Hunter's energy is so different because I called him a kid caster last time, and he doesn't want to be called a kid caster.
No,
again.
I don't want to be. And you said bring my energy up. I'm fired up.
You don't have to tell people I told you to, but yeah. So the Mets are 3-0 since the Grimace seat was installed. Monday night, the Mets installed a purple seat in the Coca-Cola corner.
Yep.
To commemorate Grimace. Grimace was here. Grimace got a big pop, but it's a great sign of kind of like just the different magical things we've had this year. OMG, Grimace, Max Wiener, Seymour Wiener, all of these different things throughout the year that have made this such a special team.
Yeah, I mean, and he signed the seat too. Grimace signing the seat was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, etching his name in there. It just, again, it shows that the fan base can have fun with just another thing. It just gets everyone excited. What a wild 72 hours it's been for on the field, off the field, on social. It's been ripping for the Mets. Everything's coming up Mets to start this week.
So I'm not going to lie. This is kind of my feeling on Monday. Monday came in and, we, John and I recorded the podcast after a rough Philly series went out, and we were just honest. We were like, hey, it's a tough series, but you got to bounce back. On Monday, the Mets win in a walk-off, which is exciting, but in my head, I couldn't stop thinking about 2022. And what I was thinking about in 2022 was when the Mets were like barely beating the Marlins. I think about the Eduardo Escobar walk-off game.
The month of Escobar.
And I remember thinking, everybody around me was so pumped. Everybody was like, let's go to Atlanta. This is going to bring us in hot. And I remember being like, I don't know, if you're barely beating these teams that you need to be beating right now, and they had just already lost to the Cubs, they were not beating the Oakland. Like, there were all these things that were happening that were just like kind of making me scared about that Atlanta series. So after that game, I thought, man, like they need to come out swinging the next 2 days.
What did they do?
Dude, it's so much fun to watch baseball when it feels like this for every single level. The high energy of the games, the pitching has been outstanding. We're going to get to that. Obviously, the offense has been exploding the last few days, but like that's what you want to do. You want to beat up on these lesser teams.
Fun plays on defense too. Going into the series, obviously rough series in Philly. The Mets needed a get right series. They needed a get right series very badly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Washington, not the best team in the standings, but they still have a lot of good young players, a lot of good young talent. The Mets showed up.
Washington's also been pretty hot for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Washington is no joke right now. Washington took games from Atlanta.
Right. But they needed to get right series against a lower opponent. They needed to come out swinging. They needed to come out. They really did need to sweep this series. Right? They really did need to sweep this series. And you know what? They came in and they showed up.
Your Long Island is showing so much right now. It's crazy.
Don't even get me started. It's just the team showed up. The team continues to show up when it matters.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, the bats were struggling a little bit towards the end of the Phillies series. Obviously, without Francisco Lindor, you know, there's a massive hole in that lineup. Putting up 10 runs in back-to-back games, that's impressive.
Let me tell you something about the Mets versus the Nationals this year. This year, the Mets are 11-2.
Is that good?
With 85 runs scored against the Nationals, with only 37 scores, 37 against. That's a 48-run differential.
That's just showing up. That is beating the lesser opponent. And that's what good teams do. Good teams show up. They beat the lesser opponents. They don't give them a chance. So 4 sweeps were in there? 3 sweeps in there against Washington?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what you have to do. That's what good teams do. They showed up. Yes, Marte with the clutch hit on Monday night, but then they just came out, steamrolled them Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's just, you know, they needed to get everyone on the same page. Pete Alonso had a couple big hits. Tyrone Tayor had a couple big hits. Brandon Nimmo had a couple big hits. Alvey with the home run last night. So a couple guys who would maybe are starting to show some signs and starting to pick up where, you know, that hole of Lindor is leaving off. It's just a really good sight for the team to, for the fans to see this team coming in.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Hey, John, I wanted to call you. We're on the podcast. I told all the listeners already that you're not feeling well, that you've been in the bathroom all day.
He's got a tummy ache.
Just so I just didn't, you know, you don't have to tell everybody. I already told everybody that.
You know who shows up when they...
But how pumped are you right now?
I haven't felt this way since 2015. I mean, I know that might sound a little bit,
Really?
I don't know, storybook or, you know, it's just, you know, we've talked about 2022 and the way that September felt at that time and how, you know, everything felt like it was spiraling in the wrong way at the worst time possible. And this team loses its MVP player in Francisco Lindor for right now. He didn't play this national series, and the Mets find a way to win a game on Monday night, and then they just put the hammer down the last 2 nights. You know, the starting pitching, dude, like I take pride, and I texted this to you also. We started talking about how incredible this starting staff has been. I know August 29th has been a cutoff date a lot of people have pointed to, but it goes back way, way further. Jose Quintana again tonight. I was paying attention. 4th time in the last 5 outings, no runs allowed. It's been magical. It really has been. So,
John, I'm glad you brought up 2015 because I think that's a good little teaser because I think me and you have talked a few times about an episode we've been waiting to do. And I think when you're back in this room with me, it's the perfect time to do it.
Sounds good. There's a lot of comparisons. I mean, you know, the Mets hit 3 3-run home runs against the Phillies last Friday night. The last time they did that in a game was the night before they clinched the division back in 2015. That's just one kind of random one, but it really is feeling like that. There's been unsung heroes all over the place. Shout out Luis Angel Acuna, dude.
Oh, I know. We're getting to that, dude. This has been, look, I can't wait for you to be back here. Me and you got a busy day the next few days. We got a lot of content coming out. But I just wanted to give you a call, man. I'm sorry that you weren't feeling good today. You were very much missed here. I wanted to run into the control room so many times and I didn't get to. But we will catch up tomorrow. I'm going to finish our episode.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you for holding down the fort over there, Hunter.
You got
Appreciate
it, John.
It. Don't call him a kidcaster anymore, Vito. That's
Thanks,
not nice.
John.
I actually started off saying that he's going out of his way to not be a kidcaster today.
See, John, I was going to make fun of you and say that this was my podcast now, but I'm not going to do that because I appreciate that.
Okay, little guy. It's like, John,
Hang up the phone.
John, I went the opposite. I have your strong, bassy voice, and I got this little boy's voice in here now. All right, John.
Yeah, what a night in New York. That's all I got to say. What a night in New York. All right. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Let's go Mets. Thanks for calling.
Let's go Mets.
Bye, John.
See, most radio shows have you call them, but this radio show called the co-host because he wasn't here. But I'm fired up right now. let's jump right into it. The top 5 moments of Mets-Nats. Number 5, Game 1, Starling Marte. A Starling Marte walk-off.
Just an electric moment. I mean, showed up, had a not great at bat earlier in the game, didn't come through. Good players come through again. He just put the runner on third, nobody out, right? Lead off the bottom of the 10th inning, ripped a single into left field. I mean, just a professional player.
Second walk-off hit as a Met. That first one came back in 2022 against the Yankees. And September 6th is the date we're going to go back to here. Since then, Starling Marte is hitting .348 with 8 runs batted in. He's a guy that John and I have said this many times on the podcast. He is one of the lifelines of this team. When Starling Marte is producing, this team is doing well. A guy, you know what? If I could compare him to basketball, he reminds me a lot in the sense of like a Draymond Green, where Draymond Green is like the engine that would push along that Golden State Warriors team that he made such a difference for them. Like, yes, you have your Steph Curry, you have your Klay Thompson, but Draymond Green was like the engine that kept things going. I really feel like Starling Marte is that guy that when he is here, when he is producing, the Mets are good.
We might as well just go 72-9 then when Starling Marte plays. But honestly, he's, down the stretch, if he turns up, if he's going to continue to hit at a 350 clip, I mean, that's a sign of just another level of depth that this team has.
All right. Number 4. This is going to be an interesting we're not doing the way we used to do it for every other week where it was like specific moments because this series was too wild.
Too many moments.
But number 4, Tyrone Tayor, just king of the series. Tyrone Tayor, is it the outstanding defense like that catch today in game 3? Or is it the just game-changing hits that he's had, the runs he's driven in? I mean, we're going back to Philly where he almost put the Mets ahead to win in game 3. But today, this series, he was just producing on both sides all game, all series.
He says it about everyone else during their media availabilities. I'm going to tell Tyrone Tayor, dog. Since September 11th, he's got a 6-game hitting streak, and entering today, he's hitting .375 with an OPS of 1.172. Went 2 for 4 with an RBI tonight. And as you said, that great leaping catch out in right center field. Just a really versatile, athletic, exciting player. And again, it just emphasizes how deep this team is, that he could be your 4th, 5th outfielder on any given night and just produces like this.
I mean, look, we're going to get to it later on, but game 3, that 4th inning that just got out of hand in a good way.
He started it.
He was the one. I wouldn't say started it because Pete started it.
He was right in the middle of it.
The run started coming in after he got up there. All right. Number 3, another thing that is just accumulative over the course of these 3 games. Your number 3 moment is the starting pitchers. We can't choose, baby. The starting pitching was so good this series. The starting pitching has been so good for a while now, and we're going to talk about that a little later because you people called us crazy on this podcast. We did an episode that said the best rotation in the National League. Well, right now it's looking like the best rotation in baseball. So, if you were calling us crazy because you were saying it's not the National League, it's baseball, good for you. But that's not what you people were saying. You were saying we were homers, we were biased, but look who was right, and look who's looking at our videos now.
I mean, Sean Manaea, 7
Also, this is a big meet at the Apple after dark. It's tired. Like it is.
Yeah.
It is 11:15 right now. We're getting a little crazy. We're getting a little loopy, but we're having a good time.
Sean Manaea, 7 innings, 1 earned run. Tyler McGill, 6 innings, 1 run, unearned. Jose Quintana tonight, 7 innings, no runs.
And that's Quintana's 3rd start this year against the Nationals where he's done this.
Yeah, I mean, talk about showing up against an opponent, against a division rival.
And Tyler McGill just showing up in every single challenge he's been in this year. I mean, he got called up. He got brought back up against the White Sox. And since then, he's just been so good. He had that one game where he got taken a little early. Who was that against? His 2nd start.
Boston?
Against Boston, yeah, where he got, I think he went 4 innings. But I think that was also Carlos Mendoza just being a little conservative because that was the beginning of that streak. It was like, let the boys get hot.
He was great in Toronto.
Great
last night.
Great last night, yeah. So it's just Tyler McGill. It's just, I mean, this whole rotation has been so good. And, we still have Sevy and David Peterson to look forward to ahead in this major Phillies series.
Yep.
So that's the thing about having a deep lineup, a deep starting rotation, a deep bullpen. And, you read the title. That's going to come up later in this episode. We will be talking about that. But let's move on. Number 2, Luis Angel Acuna is here.
He has
and he is
arrived.
fantastic. Luis Angel Acuna, I mean, what more can you ask for a guy? Your MVP, your leader, your captain, he goes down for a few. We don't know how long Francisco Lindor is down at this moment, but he's not playing right now. You call up one of your star prospects, and what does he do? He just hits.
He slots in perfectly. We saw him make the error Tuesday night, but you know how he bounced back? He bounced back
by giving the Mets, by putting the Mets right back in it. He tied the game up. And in this series, Luis Angel Acuna, 5 hits with a double, 2 home runs, and 4 RBIs.
He's a beast. He's shown really early on that he can be an electric player for this team.
And I saw a really special moment where I was down on the field. We were getting ready for Team Take the Field, right? And that's when all the players run out for the start of the game. And before that, you know, the lineups get read. And I'm down there and I'm looking at Luis Angel, and the when the lineups got read and his name got read, the crowd went crazy. Everybody in here started cheering louder than anybody else for Luis Angel at that moment.
I was on the field.
And he didn't smile. He just heard it. And like, I saw him nod his head and like acknowledge it and of like, he's ready. He's here. I mean, it's just, I'm like kind of out of words right now, which is not good for a podcast host, but because of how impressive it's been to watch him these last few days. And, you know, if you listen to Future Flushing, we got to talk to him. We got to talk to him back at spring training, and this is the moment he's been waiting for.
Yeah. And he's shown up and he's delivered in every facet of the game. He's an exciting young player. He's electric. He's younger than me. That doesn't make me feel too great.
That's new for you, right?
Yeah. I first started it with feeling it with Alvy last year. He's like 3 months younger than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, doesn't feel so great. Makes me feel like, you know.
Lindor is younger than me.
Yeah.
Like it's new.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, just showing up, putting the crowd on their feet constantly this series.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I mean, it has just been so much fun to watch him. And that home run tonight. I mean, let's talk about the first home run. The first home run where he was blowing a bubble as he was rounding the bases was just so cool. It was so aura filled.
He's aura maxing.
And then just creating runs and creating, as Carlos Mendoza said, these guys are just creating so much traffic on the base paths these last few days.
Yep.
And he's been a major part of it. And, you know, it's just a Mets prospect gets called up and they answer the call.
He's clicking. He's slotting right into this lineup perfectly. You know, that's really all you could say.
Yeah.
He's come up, he's done everything you could ask him to do and more. And it's just very exciting to see. As a Mets fan, it's awesome to see. Yeah. It's very exciting because, you know, he was acquired last trade deadline and we were like, oh, you know, maybe 2025, you know, we'll see what he is. We'll see what he brings. And, you know, end of 2024, and he's just been awesome. Yeah. Flat out awesome.
It's really cool to see. And it's, you know, when the September call-ups came up and we didn't see him, that kind of, you thought like, okay, maybe next year's his year. Maybe we won't see him this year. And then for him to get called up in Philly, it just, you know, it's been, this team always gets this kind of spark plug that just like propels them forward constantly.
Every few weeks, something else comes up.
Yeah. And it's like, look, sometimes it's stuff that's not on the field that happens that's kind of like feels magical, like we talked about, like the Grimace seat or the OMG, like all of this stuff. But then like there's things like Luis Angel Acuna getting called up and just being a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
It's like Mark Vientos. When Mark Vientos got called up for that cup of coffee that we talked about so much on this podcast, and I understand we've talked it to death, but it was a major moment. And it's a special season. Like, look, you can only say that so much, but this season this is a very special season.
Yeah.
Now,
I want to point out one more thing about Acuna.
Okay.
I was shooting the locker room availability tomorrow after the game. You know, Pete was talking just about how mature he is already, how much of a professional he is already. And again, he's 22 years old. For Pete Alonso, an established leader in the clubhouse, an established MLB All-Star, you know, home run king of the league, for him to say that 3 games into his career, 4 games into his career, that's impressive. That's
what about
really
what Quintana said? Quintana, a veteran, said, like, what a player he is.
Yeah. It's just the fact that these guys are gravitating, is very much like what the pitching staff said about Alvy last year.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that's very similar, where they said, yeah, he's really mature for his age. He's really advanced, you know, with his routine, with his prep, with his pregame, with his work. It's just very impressive to me.
Number one moment, Game 3, That fourth inning, 9-run explosion of offense. Let's take you through it. Starts off with Nimmo getting a walk. Pete gets the rally going, gets a base hit. Then we get Tyrone Tayor with a double to start driving in runs. Mark Vientos joins the party, drives in some runs, and then Brandon Nimmo hits a monster home run.
If there was a roof on Citi Field, it probably would have caved in.
Yeah.
This place went nuts. We sit in a box that has pretty thick windows, and we can't really get a great feel for the atmosphere sometimes. It was loud.
Yeah.
It was loud in that box to the point where I turned to you, I turned to Will, and I was like, yo, this place is loud.
Yeah.
This place is loud. This place is rocking. Just, a team stringing together hits like that. Oh, cool. 3-4 runs in an inning. Put yourself ahead. Get a shutout in. 9 runs in an inning. That's sick. I mean,
You were about to curse.
I was about to have potty mouth.
Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, 9 runs in an inning. Most runs in an inning for the Mets this season, I believe.
And it goes back to what we said earlier in the episode. The Mets needed that offensive explosion because, look, the bats were looking a little cold the last few days. And just to be able to come out and win a game you need to win and that you should win.
And have 2 offensive explosions is very important. Who made it 9 runs in that inning?
Like who?
Who drove in the 9th run of that inning?
Brandon Nimmo.
What number is he?
Number 9. Yeah.
Baseball's a game of 9s.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was.
Oh, wow. That's true. Yeah. I'm tired. So that
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Whoa, that's crazy. But we're talking about all these things. We're talking about the guys who get called up. We're talking about Tyrone Tayor having these big moments, which leads us to the question of the episode. Do the Mets have the deepest team in baseball?
Yes. We see it every night with the lineup mixed around. They scored 10 runs tonight, and they had a guy on the bench who didn't get an at-bat who's got a real legit shot at the Hall of Fame in J.D. Martinez.
Yeah.
He didn't step foot on the field, and the Mets put up 10 runs. And he's been obviously really solid hitter for them all year. It just shows you how deep this team is, how deep this lineup is, how Carlos Mendoza can mix and match and play left on right on left, and just really mix and match this team.
So in this, we kind of wanted to highlight a few guys and look at their numbers specifically. And those guys are Tyrone Tayor, Luis Angel Acuna, who just got here, Luis Torrens, Jesse Winker, and Jose Iglesias.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that have been those, like, look, Luis Angel Acuna obviously just got called up, but that's a player off the bench because Francisco Lindor is obviously injured. Jesse Winker is a guy who was traded. We traded for him to be that person. Jose Iglesias is just a guy like you've seen all year. Like, think about all of those players on this team that are making a difference right now. Let's look at past Mets team. Let's look at other teams in the league. I don't think we see any teams with real, just deep value like that. And those guys I just named, since June 1st, when the Mets really started to turn things around and went on that tear where they now have the best record since that point, those guys I named are hitting a combined 288.
That's impressive. All-Stars hit 288.
Yeah.
So to get that level of production from 5 guys who are not, obviously Iglesias now has been an everyday player for
and look, and Luis Angel's been playing every day, but
Right.
the point is these were not the guys that were starting at the beginning of the season. This is the whole point is this is showing how deep your bench is. This is showing how deep your team is.
All-Stars hit at a 288 clip. To have these 5 guys combine at hitting 288, for 2+ months, 3+ months is really impressive. It just shows you how deep the lineup is. Winker gets the night off with a lefty on the mound. Tyrone Tayor slots in, has 2 big hits. Luis Torrens, who can play day after a night game so Alvarez can get off his feet. He's thrown out 13 of the 20 attempted base stealers this season. That's a 65% clip. That's really good for a guy who's playing every third day. Twice a week, 3 times a week. That's impressive. You need guys like that on your team to fill out your roster. The edges of your roster can't just be dead spaces. They need the edge of the roster, the 24th, 25th, 26th guys on the roster to be productive, to do the things that they do well, do them at the best of their abilities. And you're seeing with these 5 guys, they're doing it and then some.
And it doesn't just stop at the guys on your current roster. It doesn't stop at those 20, it's 26 and now 28 guys. Yeah. It goes down to your minor leagues. And, that's what we see with Luis Angel getting called up. And we just found out today, Brett Beatty DH'd a game today.
He got a haircut.
Do you like that?
It looked It looked good.
That's good. I like a nice haircut.
Yeah.
You know, is it similar to the hair that he like kind of debuted? Like we got to know him with.
Short.
Well, didn't he have short hair? Or did he? I know he had short hair at some point.
He told me he likes my shoes, these Mets dunks at spring training.
He has them.
Does he?
Yeah, I've seen him wear them. But my point is, like,
but the point is, there's a lot of depth.
There's depth
a lot of
because,
depth.
like, you have somebody like that who just came back and he was tearing the cover off the ball a while ago. But then let's look at, like, you got Pablo Lopez.
Yeah.
You have Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez, who made a fantastic play last night, cutting over sort of behind Pete Alonso at first base, made a slide, slid like 15 feet, stood up, threw the ball, looked to the camera, didn't really know that there was a camera there, and just gave a shrug. He's like, I just do that. He's been a really solid player, a guy who could sub in towards the end in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning as an extra defensive replacement, move your guys around the field. It's just filling out the very last roster spots with guys who can contribute in the way that they're contributing.
Everybody on this team is contributing.
Yes.
And that's the emphasis I want to put on right now. There's nobody on this team that is a wasted roster spot in any way whatsoever. Everybody serves a purpose, and everybody is a part of this machine that is just operating at an optimal level right now.
Yeah. Everyone's doing their job. Everyone's doing what they do best for this team. And it's just very impressive that the way that they're all gelling together, the way that Mendoza's been able to push the right buttons. It's just a very impressive unit right now.
So Jose Iglesias, something I want to bring up about him. With his .323 batting average, this was as of yesterday, and I got this from Zach Brown, 357-926. He has the 4th best mark among players with 230 plate appearances. And then some other things I want to bring about him. In September, he's got a .340 average, a .763 OPS, and in 50 plate appearances, only 6 times as he struck out. And this is something we've brought up a lot on this podcast. It's very hard to strike Jose Iglesias out.
And you know what? Another thing about him putting the ball in play, that dude busts it down the first baseline every single time. The Mets don't win
game 1 without Jose Iglesias in the 10th inning.
He gets down the first baseline so well, and that it just puts so much extra pressure on the defense. It's so important. He hustles. He loves this team. It just shows you how dedicated he is, and just he's just been excellent for them.
All right, now let's move on to the starting rotation. We're talking about how deep this team goes. Let's talk about how deep this starting rotation goes. You guys called us crazy. I said it before, but we're not. You know why? We said this on September 2nd. We said the Mets had the best rotation in the National League. Well, since September 1st, the Mets have a 1.87 ERA. That is what the starting rotation's ERA is right now. A 1.87 in the month of September.
A 1.87 ERA in September. That is above Cy Young level. I mean, statistics right there. Sean Manaea in 4 starts. Mets are 4-0. I mean, that's your ace doing ace things.
Well, David Peterson, 3 starts, a 3 ERA flat, and he's got a 19-4 strikeout to walk ratio right now. Severino's walk to strikeout ratio is also pretty great. He's got an 18-5 strikeout to walk ratio, and he's got a 2.29 ERA, only giving up 5 earned runs in 19 innings of work.
You know who's given up less than that?
I wonder who.
Jose Quintana.
Quintana.
How many runs has he given up in September?
Dude, I wish I could go read off all the tweets right now if people were saying stupid, silly things about Jose Quintana.
Stupid.
Because Jose Quintana's just been on a warpath ever since then. And Jose Quintana's a guy, I was watching him do his pregame rituals today and just watching how like much he amps himself up. And Jose Quintana is a great dude.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Quintana is a great dude, but I will not go near that dude on a day he's pitching.
But how many runs has he given up in September?
How many?
0. He hasn't given up a run this month.
I know. It's crazy.
It's crazy. In over 20 innings, he has not given up a run this month. That is a veteran pitcher who knows when September's coming, knows October's right around the corner, who's putting this team in their best opportunity, best chance to win. He is doing everything he can. He is going deep into games. He is throwing quality starts, and he has not given up a run this month. That's impressive. That's what a veteran's supposed to do.
Yeah, man, this starting rotation has been outrageous. Jose Quintana has just been really like it's I feel like we have shifting aces on this team.
Yeah.
I feel like every month or every few weeks, a new guy steps up and he's the ace of the moment. We've seen Sean Manaea go on runs of being that guy. We saw David Peterson be that guy. Now we're seeing Jose Quintana step up and be that guy. And something John said early on in the season was it's kind of like it's quantity over quality, which usually people say quality, you know what I mean?
But they're doing it in bulk.
That's the thing. The point was everybody was talking about, oh, the Mets don't have an ace. The Mets don't have an ace. No, the Mets have 5 guys that perform up to an ace level.
Do you want to draw another comparison to 2015?
We're going to do that on a future episode, baby.
Sorry. My bad. Each guy's stepping up.
Every game is next man up on this team.
And they keep saying that, which I love. Tyler McGill walked off the mound Tuesday night, finished at the 6th inning, walks over, shakes Mendoza's hand, gets high fives, whatever. Goes over to Manaea and Quintana and Peterson. And what are they? They're jumping with the OMG side there. It's like the 3 best friends that anyone could have. It was just, it's awesome, man. It's the next man up. It's each guy wants to do better than the last guy. And not so it's a me versus you, but it's, hey, I want to one-up you because what you did was awesome. I also want to be that guy for this team. Yeah. It's so cool to see, man.
This series is everything, Mets fans. If you're not here for the next 4 days, if you're not here rooting the Mets on against the Phillies after what you just saw, I don't know what more this team could do for you. Because tonight there was a good crowd. We could be better than that. Tonight, the pitching change for the opposing team, the light show, the kind of the freak out, it was good.
It was one of the tops of the season.
But it can get better.
Of course it can.
We need to fill this place up. Philly filled this place up all last weekend. We need to fill this place up this weekend. You heard Brandon Nimmo at the start of this episode. Mets fans, we got to support the team because September baseball, that's what it's all about. We got to push this team into the postseason.
They need us. They need the fans.
That's what Brandon Nimmo said.
Yeah. They need you. Kids, if you're coming to the game Thursday.
If your parents are telling you they don't want to take you because you got school, just say, hey, school's going to be there. September baseball's not.
You could go to school tired on Friday. It's okay. I've done it. You've probably done it.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to school tired one day. That means you get to see the Mets on a playoff push against the Phillies.
I don't know if we're allowed to do this. I don't know if we're allowed to be like, hey, tell you. I think we need to stop. We're tired and we're being crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Just come to games.
Just be here. This is all you can ask for. Division rival, 4-game series. You win a couple of games. You really solidify yourself.
We got to go into Atlanta hot.
Yeah.
I want to go into Atlanta hot.
All right, man.
What?
Hot. We got to wrap this up.
Hot to go.
Hey.
You can't sing it. You just got to go. That's what I want. That's what I want going into Atlanta. All right, guys. You can follow this podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Vito F. Khaleesi on Twitter at Vito F. Khaleesi. John is at JMB9191. Hunter is at Hunter Taubes, I believe. It's spelled weird, like Tubbs, but Taubes.
Not really.
Kind of. But yeah, follow this podcast. We got a lot of content coming. We got some interviews with players coming out soon. We just did that Brandon Sproat that came out yesterday. But we're doing some of the major league guys this week, and we got so much content coming out. Should be talking to Mendoza this week. There's a lot going on. So, guys, come to the ballpark, support the team, support the podcast. Let's go Mets!